Hello and welcome back to my car lift installation project. So in part one we dug a big hole and laid a concrete pad. In part two we built and tested the actual car lift itself, and now in the third and final instalment it's time to optimise the whole setup as best we can. The main job is to rework this roof structure to maximise the working height of the lift. We shall refit the sides up here for weather protection, and at some point I'll take the time to address some viewer concerns. But first up, we're going to do a bit of landscaping. When we cast the new concrete floor, I deliberately made the finished height lower than it used to be, again just to squeeze out a few more inches working height. That means we've got this strip here to tidy up, but more importantly, the approach to the lift is pretty dire at the moment. So it's doable with the Land Rover, but you go dumph and then up the ramps and onto the lift. So with the lift lowered like this, you can see that currently we come down and then up onto the lift. Now it occurs to me that even if I level all this off to match the concrete, this is still quite a steep ascent, especially for a small car. So what I'm going to try and do is make this an almost level approach. Those of you that saw my fly press video might recognise this piece of steel. This is what's left over from that massive weighbridge plate that I chopped up to make the table for the fly press. So at about 1 inch thick, it's going to make the perfect approach ramp for the car lift. So it's going slightly uphill, which means that the water coming off the building there will go this way and then down the hill. I did contemplate fitting drainage here, but I don't think it's going to be needed at all. We are on top of a hill. That was easier. Way easier. What an improvement. Splendid. So with the Land Rover on the lift, it's a good time to address some queries that came up in the comments under the video for part 2. By far the most popular was that I should change the deceleration on the motor. So when I put this together and I was testing the inverter in that video, I had the inverter at its default configuration for running the motor. And what that means is when you press the green button, it ramps up the speed of the motor, and when you press the red button, it decelerates the motor. Now I've turned off the deceleration now, but here's why that wasn't a problem anyway. So I'll turn it on. You'll see Kermit start to move in a moment. So that's the motor coming up to speed, the pressure's coming up inside here. As it's moving up there, it's going back down again. At any point when the lift is going up, I can stop it or even bring it down using the release handle here. The next popular category of queries, which was that I should add a wander lead to it, I should add an emergency stop, I should add a height sensor, blah blah blah. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm quite happy keeping the controls as they are. So at the moment I've got an on and an off, and I can use the pot here to change the speed of the motor. That's dead useful. When I'm operating this inverter, I'm right next to this handle. So this is where I stand to operate it. Everything falls to hand. That makes sense to me. I'm going to stick with it as it is. What stops the lift going too high and crashing into the roof? The operator. And to my mind, that's how it should be. Far more important than automatic safety features on any kind of machinery is to have an operator who's paying attention in the first place. And that's what I aim to do. The last query I'm going to address is the possibility of overheating the motor. What we have in this box is a motor that's designed to run at a certain speed. But what we have here is a setup that enables me to run the motor at whatever speed I want. As a couple of people in the comments to the last video are unhappy with this combination and told me that I'm going to burn the motor out for overheating. So I looked into it and I did find a couple of examples of this happening. But the examples that I found were old motors, like this, motors that were running for 12-hour shifts in a factory, not like this at all, and air-cooled by a fan on the back, again, not like this. So if you're running the motor for a long time, an old motor for a long time, under its design RPM, you can set up a harmonic vibration in the windings so that they vibrate and warm up. That's a problem that's been mitigated in modern motors just by adding more insulation around the windings. The other thing, of course, if your motor is cooled down by a fan on the back and you're running at, say, half speed, that fan is also running at half speed. this motor doesn't have a fan, but more importantly, it only runs for half a minute at a time. So I think it'll be fine. But who cares what I think? Let's test it. So what I'm going to do is set up a thermal camera. We'll set this to run at half speed, at full load, because the Land Rover's on there, and we'll see what happens. If the motor goes up in smoke, then I shall be eating some humble pie and buying a new motor. Okay, here's the setup. So here's a thermal camera. As you can see, if I put my hand in front of it, and you can just about make out the motor there, and it's also got a temperature reading there, so a spot temperature reading. So it's currently 24-ish degrees. This is putting the motor under full load at half speed. Let's press this one. Nothing then, as you'd expect really. It's such a short run time, but let's go again. Still nothing. Well, 25, maybe it's gone up half a degree. Bear in mind, of course, this is hardly normal usage of a car lift. What we got? 25 and a half maybe. A much harder workload than the lift would normally have, repeated raisings there. Running at half speed, which is apparently worst case scenario, and we raised the temperature of the motor by maybe half a degree. As far as I can tell, the system's completely happy to run at really slow speeds. So you can get much more control over the lift than you would normally have. I'm not having to start, stop. I can just go really slowly if I want to, or speed it up. And when it's coming to the top of the lift there, I can slow right down and then stop. Well, admittedly, it's hardly conclusive testing, but I think it does allow us to move forward with some confidence that we're not in imminent danger of a meltdown. While we're here, there is one adjustment I need to make to this thing, and thank you to the person who pointed this out. Currently, the maximum frequency is too high. It's the frequency that controls the speed of the motor. And being a UK motor, it shouldn't really go any higher than 50. So let's sort that out, and I can show you my knowledge of Chinese now. That button there is program, and number 6. From 60, let's go down to 50. And save. And program, and that's that. So now I can vary it down to 0 again, but when I go to maximum it stops at 50. I'd already set the reference frequency to 50 but neglected to do the maximum. There's over 100 different parameters on this sheet, but fortunately I've only had to mess with 3 of them. So I've turned off the braking deceleration, I've set the reference frequency to 50, and now the maximum frequency to 50 as well. And that's it. Right, let's get back to work. So that's as high as I can get the Land Rover at the moment, and there's 2 things that are stopping it going any higher. The joists that hold up the roof, and the fact that the ram needs to exit the roof. So we'll sort this one out first. Now I've got a big hole in the roof, and if I leave it, that will be problematic because the way I've built the roof means that water will run along the ridge and it will drip straight down that hole. So I've been through the stores and found this, and I think this will sort it out. I want to make these bends as sharp as possible. There's the section we cut from the roof, so I can use that as a pattern. Yeah. So now rain coming down this way hits all of this, diverted down here, and then off the end onto that roof. So for the primary job of diverting the rain, that as it is should be perfectly adequate. But while we're here, I've got an idea for a cap on it as well. I've gone for a whole range of ideas on what to use to cover that hole, but in the interest of keeping it as simple as possible, I'm just going to use a piece of rubber and cut a flap. So I've been up the ladder and I think this will be just about big enough. So all I'm going to do is to square it up a bit, just for neatness. Cut it and then we'll rivet it up, and that'll be that. Next job is to reinstate this little bit of roof, and it's just a deflector. It takes the rainwater that's coming off of this roof, off the carport, and reflects it onto that roof, and then it goes into gutters and eventually into the rainwater collection tanks. I took this down because where it goes is exactly where the ram goes now, so all I need to do is to extend these beams on each side by about that much, and then put it back on. Good. My next job is to sort out the roof space, and that of course means first we've got to empty it. I've got a lot of stuff stored up there, and I've got a bit of an idea for retaining at least most of the storage here. We'll see if that pans out. Most of it's quite straightforward, but I have got some roof trusses up there for a future project. They are super awkward to move. Might have to get some machinery in for that bit. Everything else is easy enough. plan. So we're going to leave the end joists, this one and the one at that end, and the three middle ones here. Originally I was going to take them out. What we're going to do is put in cross beams up here. Instead of 6x2s, are going to be 4x2s going across this way. But what I've decided to do now is to leave the stubs of these in place. We're going to cut these down about here and put an upright going from here up to here, so that then there'll be a little section on this side and another one on that side. You can still slide long lengths in on the plume. Good. 130 for the angle. Two, 3, 8, 2. Going down. Ground floor for parking.
Dum dum. You have arrived at your destination.
You might have noticed I've gone with 4x2s for these joists, which replace the 6x2s that were down here. And the reason is that these joists are just in tension. What they're doing is stopping the roof splaying apart like that. The reason I had 6x2s along here was because this was a storage area and there would be stuff right in the middle here. With this new setup, the only thing that's going to go on top of here, potentially, is a ladder, an aluminium ladder, and that's it. So all it needs to do is to stop that roof splaying out. I put these in the position that I did because this is as high as I can get it whilst still performing that function of stopping the splay. Now this is a gambrel roof, so I needed these joists to be on the section that they're on, so the lower section. If I'd put them any higher up, then the lower section could splay out by itself. So this is as high as I could get it, and this is as slim as I wanted to get this bit, which again, both of those give us our maximum lift height. Ready? No, you can do it. Quick check. Yeah, plenty of room. No worries. That's it, full maximum height. So I'll just make a mark there. Kermit maximum and then an arrow. So I'll know now in future, once the text starts to appear, we're nearly at full height. That's the absolute maximum there. And we could even, if I parked it very carefully between the joists, go somewhat higher than that, because obviously Kermit's a pickup and only has a small cab. But that does mean parking it carefully, so we'll go with this as the actual working maximum. And it's now 50. It's not bad. Of course, Katie's car we can get higher than this. Quite a bit, I reckon. But yeah, so 50 inches off the ground, not bad. Certainly beats on our axle stands. Good work, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've established the maximum lift height for the Land Rover, we can see if my idea with the acro props is going to work. These are a brand new pair of acro props. These are the smallest size I could find. These are size 0. And this is currently as low as they go. So my plan is simple. It's to raise it to maximum height, put one of these under each end, and then drop it down just about an inch until these are locked into place, but still most of the weight is on the lift itself. And then when I want to lower the Land Rover, I just lift it back up to maximum height, take these out, down we go. My idea would work fine as it is. I do have a couple of improvements in mind. I'm going to cut the top off this threaded section, cut the bottom off this internal one, and that'll just give me a bit more flexibility with it. I'm also going to increase the footprint on the bottom here. A bit lacking in thick plates of steel. I do have this, but it's massively overkill. This is the last bit of the weighbridge. But even if I cut this down, I'm going to end up with something I can barely lift. This is some 80x8 flat bar, and I'm going to use that, I reckon, on the base. So it's going to look... That'll just make it easier to locate on the floor. It'll spread the weight a bit as well, but mainly for location. Before I do that though, I'm going to reduce the minimum height. So at the moment, this internal section bottoms out down there. So that's the minimum. I'm going to cut a bit off of that, and I'm going to cut a bit off this threaded section. And that should mean we can come down to there. So by doing that, I've only gained that much, but worth doing. Deliberately bought non-galvanised acro props because I suspected I'd be welding them. One under this end, One goes here. And then I just lower the inch or so onto those stands. Currently then, most of the weight is still being taken by the car lift. Now as I figure it, that's completely safe. Imagine if I just used one prop and I put it under, say, a corner here, then the whole frame would twist, it would tilt and twist. If I put just one prop here, say, then it would go like that. So I need two props. But if I put 3 props or 4 props, I'm not making it any safer. I would conceivably make it more stable if we lost all the hydraulic pressure, but it wouldn't make it any safer. It's already not going to drop, is what I'm trying to say. Like I said before, I've got a full set of these for working at lower height. And then to lower it, it's simply a case of raising back up until we see the writing again. And this is currently on half speed, so I've got plenty of time to look at it. Take that out of there. Easy peasy. Right then, nearly done. There's 2 more things left to do. One is to put up a gutter here, and then below it I'm going to put that cladding back, the translucent panels, just for a bit of weather protection. Around. All done, and now I'm the proud owner of my very own car lift, which no doubt you'll be seeing in many videos to come. Oh, I wish I'd done it years ago. Cheers.